You were promised fulfillment at the end of a road paved with discipline, sacrifice, ambition, and constant motion. You believed that once you reached the mountaintop of success, the job title, the financial freedom, the recognition, you would finally feel at peace, secure, and whole. But nobody talks about what happens when you get there, and it doesn't feel like you thought it would. You did everything right. You worked harder than most. You endured, sacrificed, climbed. And yet now, standing on the summit, instead of triumph, you feel tired, disconnected, even lost. No one warned you that reaching your goals might still leave a void inside. That success, as it's sold to us, doesn't always come with peace of mind. That sometimes, the closer you get to the life you thought you wanted, the farther you feel from yourself. Because along the way, you started trading presence for productivity. You silence your inner voice in order to play the part. You convince yourself that just one more achievement would finally make it all worth it. But all the recognition in the world can't fill the silence inside you. All the milestones can't substitute for meaning. This is the silent truth behind success. It can look perfect on paper and still feel empty in your soul. And maybe what you're feeling isn't failure. Maybe it's the first glimpse of awakening. Awakening to the fact that success that disconnects you from yourself is not success at all. Awakening to the realization that you've been building someone else's dream on the foundation of your own neglect. You don't need to burn it all down, but you do need to listen. Because your exhaustion isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's your soul trying to bring you back home. Success is rarely free. What they don't show in the highlight reels, in the Instagram posts, in the LinkedIn updates, is the cost. The invisible weight behind a curated image. The quiet sacrifices no one claps for. You've smiled through exhaustion. You've answered emails when your chest felt heavy. You've attended meetings when your mind was screaming for rest. And you've told people, "I'm fine," when inside, you were anything but. They praised your discipline, but never asked about your health. They admired your consistency, but never wondered what it was costing you. They celebrated your progress, without seeing the pressure building underneath it all. And the worst part? You didn't even realize you were slowly disappearing in the process. Because you were so busy chasing deadlines, chasing approval, chasing milestones, that you forgot what it felt like to simply be you. To laugh without obligation. To rest without guilt. To live without constantly performing. But here's the truth. Success that demands your soul is too expensive. Success that forces you to abandon who you are in order to maintain an image will bankrupt you emotionally. And deep down, you already know this. You felt the tension, the dissonance, that quiet voice inside whispering, "This isn't it." You might still love the work. You might still value growth. But you're starting to see that how you succeed matters more than just succeeding. You no longer want to live a life that looks good and feels hollow. You want one that feels aligned, even if fewer people applaud it. This is the moment when everything begins to shift, not because you gave up, but because you woke up. You're starting to realize that real power doesn't come from how much you can endure. It comes from choosing what's worth enduring. At some point, the applause becomes noise. The titles feel meaningless. The trophies collect dust. And you're left asking a question most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Who am I without all this? This is where the real work begins. Not in chasing more, but in turning inward, in choosing honesty over image, in reclaiming the parts of you that got lost beneath the performance. You spent so long being everything for everyone. The leader, the example, the provider, the achiever. But when was the last time you asked yourself what you needed, what you valued, what you actually wanted, beyond what looked good on paper? There's a shift happening now, not outside but inside. It's quiet, subtle, and sacred. You're not chasing validation anymore. You're chasing alignment. You're not proving anything. You're remembering everything. You no longer need to wear the mask of perfection. You're learning that your value isn't tied to productivity, that your worth doesn't depend on how much you can carry. That rest isn't weakness. Vulnerability isn't failure. And letting go isn't quitting, it's evolving. This is where success takes on a new meaning. Not more goals, but deeper roots. Not more noise, but greater peace. Not being admired, but being authentic. You begin to build a life from the inside out, one that doesn't require performance to be valid, one that feels like truth, not strategy, one where your external life finally mirrors your internal clarity. The world might not understand this new version of you. It might not make sense to those still trapped in the race, but it doesn't have to, because for the first time, you're not looking for direction. You're listening to your own. There comes a moment when everything you once believed about success collapses, not in bitterness, but in clarity. You begin to see the truth behind the curtain. That success isn't the car or the corner office or the applause. It's not a number in your bank account or a title on your resume. It's not how many people follow you, admire you, or even envy you. Real success is internal, quiet, deep, personal. It's waking up with peace instead of pressure. It's going to bed knowing you honored yourself. It's having boundaries, not because you're selfish, but because you finally know your worth. It's saying no to what drains you, and yes to what aligns with your truth. It's showing up in your relationships fully present, not distracted by the next milestone. It's no longer needing to explain your path to anyone, because you're finally walking your path. True success is when your definition of freedom stops looking like escape and starts feeling like presence. When you stop trying to become something and start remembering who you already are underneath all the layers you've spent years achieving. Now you're learning how to be. You're redefining success not as the world sees it, but as your soul recognizes it. Not by the speed of your progress, but by the depth of your peace. Not by external metrics, but by internal resonance. Some will call this change losing your edge. Let them, because you didn't lose your edge. You lost your mask. You let go of the game that never fulfilled you. And now, you're building something stronger, something real. A life that is aligned, a life that is honest, a life that, maybe for the first time, actually feels like yours. So if success doesn't feel like you thought it would, maybe that's not the end of your story. Maybe it's the beginning of something truer. You spent years climbing ladders you didn't build, chasing goals you didn't question, and living stories you never wrote. You followed the formula: work hard, achieve more, earn respect, stay productive. And now that you've seen what's on the other side, the only thing left is this: returning to yourself. Because the most radical act in a world obsessed with performance is authenticity. The greatest freedom is not found in success. It's found in self-ownership. You were never broken. You were just buried under expectations, under pressure, under years of trying to be what others needed you to be. But you're not here to impress the world. You're here to express your truth. This is the moment when the real shift begins, not just in what you do, but in how you exist. You begin to speak honestly, even when your voice shakes. You create space for stillness, even when the world demands more noise. You choose to protect your peace, even when it disappoints others. And you understand now, this isn't selfishness. This is sacred. You don't need another degree, another promotion, another round of applause. You need alignment. You need rest. You need truth. And maybe, just maybe, the emptiness you felt was never a problem. It was a message from your soul saying, it's time to come home. So if you're tired of striving and pretending and constantly proving, this is your permission to stop, to breathe, to listen, to begin again, not as who the world told you to be, but as who you were always meant to be.